Call the April 24th, 2025 City Commission meeting to order at 4 p.m. We have 4 commissioners present, 1 excused. Minutes from last meeting, anybody?
They were great minutes.
Thank you. I really wish sometimes somebody had a comment in it. I might have to find one next time.
Did have a comment.
That's true. Financial statement. Kim, we're up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. I'm good. Brought my paper back up. Technology, you know. So this is financial summaries of the revenue and expenditure activities for the City of Hayes, month ended March 31, 2025. Revenues in March totaled $4,861,160. That's a decrease of $33,000 when compared to the same period as last year. Some notable areas of increased revenue when we compare back to March of 24. Airport improvement was up $39,000 for the reimbursement from FAA in connection with the SRE building and Taxiway M. Golf course revenue shot up $82,000 as memberships and trail fees begin to trickle in. Notable areas of revenue decrease. Airport federal grants fell $320,000 due mainly to receipts of ARPA and CARES funding at this time last year. And bond and interest was off $228,000 due to the closeout of that Home Depot TDD this time last year. Expenditures in March totaled $2,976,939. That's a decrease of $326,726. Some notable areas of increased expenditure: purchase of golf course greens mower heads increased those expenditures $14,700. Solid waste reserves new equipment rose $13,900 for the purchase of 2 new roll-off dumpsters. Notable areas of decreased expenditure: CARES funding reimbursement from FAA dropped airport improvement expenditures $105,000. Audit and software move to the cloud dropped finance city clerk expenditures $48,700 due simply to timing from last year. IT other contractual dropped $138,000 for software maintenance package renewals a year ago at this time. New equipment reserve expenditures fell $44,000 for the purchase of pistol holsters for the PD and AMCUS tools, which I had to find out what AMCUS tools were, and those are the jaws of life for the fire department last year. Traffic signal rewiring a year ago decreased public works service expenditures $16,700. Month to date, general fund sales tax collections were at $724,619. That's an increase of $27,500, or right at 4% as compared to last year. Year-to-date general fund sales tax is still trending up at $106,000, or 4.5%. The 6-month average was at 2.92. That's a year-over-year decrease of 2.7%. Year-to-date county sales tax collections were at $296,483, up $17,589. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $178,700, or 5.7%. Those top 10 represent 74% of the total sales tax collections for the running quarter. Finally, total par value of the U.S. Treasuries for March was $8.717 million, with a weighted average yield and maturity of 4.2, down 0.5% from a year ago. Total of the portfolio certificates of deposit on March 31 was $61,385,429. That's a weighted average rate of maturity of 4.75, down just 1/3 of a point. Total balance of the money market account on March 31 was $2.2 million, with a current yield of 3.388. That's down 0.75% from a year ago. Total investments were up $1,875,973.
I'll make a motion we approve the March 2025 financial statement.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Musil, seconded by Commissioner Barrick. Any questions of Kim?
Kim, I just have a question on the ARPA funds. Are we done with that with the airport, or is there still?
I believe she has a little left.
There's a little left. Okay.
It should be done this year.
This year? Yeah.
Wasn't it required to be done this year? Or was there no
Next
limitation?
year, I believe.
Is it next year?
For FAA, I'm not sure.
Actually, yeah, they were staggered grants, and they all had like 3-year expenditures. So I think it's either the end of this year or sometime next year.
Okay, good. Anything else? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizen comments. They're citizens.
Welcome, citizen.
We like citizens.
Hello, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon, Director of the Hayes Convention and Visitors Bureau, and also Secretary of Hayes Sister Cities. Our Chair, Olga Dietrich, could not be here this afternoon. Sister Cities International was created by President Eisenhower at his 1954 White House Summit on Citizen Diplomacy. His vision was a network for peace and prosperity created by fostering bonds person to person from around the world. Leave the governments out of it. Today, Sister Cities has many programs, exchanges, and events to further that goal. One of these events is the Youth Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C., held every summer, designed to engage future leaders and inspire the next generation of citizen diplomats and volunteers. Students are nominated by local Sister Cities organizations across the country, and then only 50 are chosen by Sister Cities International to attend that event. Today, I would like to introduce Caleb King, a talented Hayes High senior who was selected for a Youth Leadership Summit in D.C. last summer. He learned about the program from his teacher, Mr. Jerry Brown, and once Caleb received the news his application had been accepted, Hayes Sister Cities presented him with a scholarship to cover program registration and travel. So I'm here to say thank you to the Commission for the support you give to Hayes Sister Cities. And Caleb is here to give you a short update on his experience in D.C.
Awesome.
Caleb?
Hello, guys. Long time no see. So I got to go on this summit. It was August 4th through 10th last year. It was at American University in D.C. There were about 42 other people there, mostly from big cities. A lot of people from San Antonio, L.A. I met someone from China and Angola there, which was pretty cool. And so the summit had three main parts to it. The first thing was lectures. The theme of the week was about water and climate change and how that affects our politics. So I had a lecture on intercultural communications, how the language and the actions we have as a leader affects those around us. Also had lectures. We had a lecture on the sociology of climate change and how we respond to climate change and how we can react to climate catastrophe to better ourselves in the environment. I had a lecture from the minister plenipotentiary from Aruba, and she talked about climate change and water and its effect on her nation. And then I also got to experience the fun of DC. I went to a lot of monuments, got to see the White House and the Capitol building. We took a tour of the Kennedy Center and the Smithsonian Museum for African American Culture and History. And I got to go to a Washington Nationals baseball game, which was also very fun. And then we had a lot of career development aspects of the summit. So I had business training, how to market myself, dining etiquette training, which was the least fun part of the summit. I had a mentorship dinner where I got to meet and talk to Ricky Garrett, who's the president and CEO of Sister Cities International. And then the whole thing led up to a diplomacy simulation at the Department of State on the last day. So I represented a nonprofit, Save Our Avian Resources, and there were 4 other different groups. There were 2 country representatives, the Department of State from the United States, and then the NATO Water Protection Agency. And it was this whole simulation around 2 countries who share a lake in their borders. And one country wanted to build a dam for their power grid issues, and one country wanted to preserve the lake for an endangered species of crane. So I helped build a resolution there and practice diplomacy. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And my ultimate reflection, I think, of the summit was I'm actually very grateful to be here in Hays, Kansas. I was one of the only people from the Midwest and one of the only people from a small town. And it was really cool to not only be there and see the change you can make in a big place like DC, but it made me very thankful to be in a place like here where I can, through the Youth Leadership Advisory Board and through my student council, make such a big change on like a grassroots and local level which I thought was very cool. And it was a very transformative experience because it helped me decide what I wanted to do with my life. I'm going to the University of Kansas next semester, and I'm not sure on my major, but I want to do something in international relations or a similar social science. So it very much helped me find what my passion was in my future. And I'd like to say thank you to the Hayes Sister Cities for giving me this amazing opportunity and giving me a scholarship to find my passion and explore DC. So thank you.
It's outstanding, Caleb. We're so proud of you being alumni of the Youth Leadership Advisory Board. You made a big difference in that. I think we need to send a whole bunch of people on this so they understand the value of small town America and come back.
Yeah, I definitely taught them a lot. This was a silly little story, but a lot of people there were surprised my school didn't have a water polo team. They were surprised I did not have a target. So I definitely think I taught them a thing or two about being open-minded and having small town hospitality and respect. So
Very good.
Did
Well,
you-
I'm sure you represented us very, very well. We have enjoyed every part of it and wish you the best of luck. Comments, commissioners?
I just want to say thank you for representing the Midwest and Hayes and Rock Chalk.
There you go.
No, I think it's a very cool opportunity, and it's always awesome to be able to find somebody that's going to make the most out of it, as
Yeah.
opposed to just going there just to go there. So I think that's very cool, and you did that and represented us well, and look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Yeah, Caleb, great job. Did you, since you know how to save water being here in Hayes, did you teach him anything about that? Just kidding.
He was saving the birds, not the water.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, great job.
Thank
And
you
Sister
very much.
Cities, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Okay. See if anybody can follow that.
Yeah, good luck.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I do have some requests for approval to various boards. Michelle Bryan and Mary Tepfer to the Hayes Public Library Board. They both currently serve and are willing to continue, as well as I'll announce one more time, the new Youth Leadership Advisory Board that will begin, actually May 1st, I think. Is that right, Jared? May 1st? Jenna Brohl from TMP, Reagan Bayer from TMP, Mario Hernandez from Hayes High, Preston Murmas from TMP, Elizabeth Nickel from Hayes High, Elena Pineda, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name, from Hayes High, and Aaron Reuter as well from Hayes High. And we congratulate and look forward to them serving. Do I have a motion?
I move to present the consent agenda.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Cunningham, seconded by Commissioner Barrick. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, I am going to open a public hearing regarding the issuance of the A&A Coors Incorporated Industrial Revenue Bonds and an exemption from an ad valorem taxation of property constructed or purchased with the proceeds of such. Jared Kuckelman.
Good afternoon, Jared Kuckelman, Assistant City Manager. So today we will be discussing industrial revenue bonds, or IRBs, for A&A Coors. So A&A Coors has been operating in Hayes for many decades now, with the Hayes business opening in 1969. For at least much of that time, and probably most of it, they've been located at the facility on 8th Street, which is just west of Vine and south of the railroad tracks. They're now seeking to construct a new warehouse/distribution facility out at East 9th Street at the Industrial Park, just off Commerce Parkway. Coors would move all of their operations to the new facility, while the larger building would also offer the chance to expand some of their operations out there. The new facility is expected to be approximately 43,000 square feet, and the construction would be planned to start this summer with the hope to be done in about mid-2026. So the images here show the site they're looking to move to. They do currently own the property here outlined in red, which is right behind the current site for Glassman Corporation. Here's an image to kind of show what the proposed site layout could end up looking like with the new building. So Glassman is there on the left here, and then the new building would be here in gray, with the red showing kind of their new drive-through parking and drive-up lane loading areas. So A&A Coors is hoping to get started here pretty quickly over the next few months and get started on this project. So just a refresher on IRBs and how they work. IRBs are an incentive in which the city acts as a conduit for the developer to receive a sales tax exemption on construction materials and or a property tax abatement for 10 years for certain eligible projects, which this project is one of those. The developer is requesting both the property tax abatement and the sales tax exemption. IRBs do not affect the city's debt limit or rating and do not require taxpayer commitment, as the developer is solely responsible for the payment obligations. For the purposes of this project, the estimated city sales tax benefit for the developer is estimated to be just under $39,000. So this project is estimated to have a total investment of about $7 million. Based on this amount, the city's current economic development policy would support a 50% property tax abatement, which would end up offering A&A Corps potentially about $260,000 in city property taxes abated over the full 10 years. However, the exact numbers for the final abatement percentage and the benefit to the developer won't be finalized until construction is complete and we know those exact construction cost numbers. Once everything is done and constructed, we will be back before you to do the IRB closeout process and then the actual issuance of the IRBs. So no general obligation or special obligation bonds will be issued as part of this project. As with IRBs, the city only serves as the conduit issuer and payment obligations solely belong to the developer. So here are the options before you today. So since state statute requires the holding of a public hearing prior to the approval of the resolution, we'll have to have a motion to close the hearing after taking some public comments.
Anyone in our audience have any comments relative to this? If not, I'll take a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Musil and seconded by Commissioner Cunningham. All in favor, please say aye.
Hey, hold on a second. I do have a question on how much property taxes on that property right now per year. Do you have any idea?
Could not say other than
Very small. Land is not taxed, it's improved, I mean, land is taxed, but at a very low amount. The improvements are what's taxed, so it's, before it was annexed, nothing.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
On our part.
Right.
But even that, it's very small.
Okay, I was just curious.
Probably, I don't know, I'd say the valuation's probably, what, 40, 50,000, something like that on the land. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
here's the action requested for the resolution.
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-003, evidencing an intent to issue industrial revenue bonds.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Cunningham, seconded by Commissioner Barrick. Any other discussion relative to this? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass 4-0. Thank you very much, Jared.
Thank you.
2025 Water Resources Department Parking Lot Access Improvements Award a bid.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jeff Crispin, Director of Water Resources. One bid for the installation of new concrete parking lot and entrance between the water plant and our maintenance facility just next to the water plant. We're open on March 18th, 2025. The low bid of $136,483.72 came from Morgan Brothers Construction of La Crosse, Kansas, with the project to be funded equally from Water Capital and Water Reclamation Capital. The water plant and maintenance facility are located on Vine, near 10th and Vine, just north of the railroad tracks. This is the scope. This is the parking lot area and entrance between the water plant and Water Resources Maintenance Facility. It's been a concern of our department for years. Most of the parking areas at the maintenance facility, including the stormwater conveyance ditch, between the two buildings are comprised of dirt and asphalt millings. The visual represents the entire scope of this project. This represents 1,693 square yards of new concrete, up to 7 to 8 inches thick, and include that stormwater conveyance ditch and new entrance off of Vine. And it's interesting because right now that kind of looks that way on the left side, minus the snow. Any rain or snow event makes parking and traveling through this area a mess, causing ruts and maintenance issues. Furthermore, the existing stormwater ditch has settled to the point where stormwater does not easily transfer into the stormwater retention pond along Vine. And then you have traveling in and out of that area, and you're just pulling things out onto Vine and back and forth. So it would be important to get this cleaned up. The south entrance to the water treatment plant is made up of asphalt, and over time, it has deteriorated. There's large trucks that go in and out of there, and it needs to be replaced as well. This project would require the contractor to replace the Vine Street entrance that's on the left side there with a reduced slope approach. And as I've mentioned this before, this is similar to what was done to the new approach and new driveway that goes into Public Works just north of the water treatment plant. On February 19th, we issued an RFP, and on March 18th, we received one bid and opened that. So the total bid from Morgan Brothers Construction, again, is $136,483.72. It is over a budget of $130,000, but it is favorable. It's in line with previous projects, recent projects, and staff is recommending that you award this bid. This project is to be completed before August 31st. I know that they have a date on their contract documents directly after. If you do approval that tonight, they would like to get started, but I don't have exactly what that date would be. When we get to that point, we will know here shortly. Office of Project Management would handle inspection of this project in-house, and it's something that we can definitely take on. The project's listed in our budget, as I mentioned. It's a capital improvement plan. Funding would be paid equally from water and water reclamation capital. The maintenance facility, how we fund that operations for that maintenance facility is a split budget from water and water reclamation, so it makes sense for it to be funded that way. So today you have three options: award the bid to Morgan Brothers Construction, provide us alternate direction, or do nothing. And this is the action I would request.
I move to authorize the city manager to sign a contract with Morgan Brothers Construction, Inc. of La Crosse, Kansas for parking lot and access improvements at the Water Resources Facility in the amount of $136,483.72 to be funded from water capital and water reclamation capital, a 50-50 split.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Barrick, seconded by Commissioner Musil. Discussion?
So each water reclamation, water capital each have an extra $3,000 in it that they can throw in. To get
Yes, we
$136,000.
can handle it.
You know, when you originally brought this, I was like, you know, why are we spending that kind of money? But then you go by there and we have rain and snow, and I mean, I wouldn't want to go to work and have to be around that all day, the mud and the heavy trucks. So I think it's a good project. I think it's well deserved.
Not only on Vine Street where we're going in and out,
Right.
There's really no way around it at this point. Plus, you're pulling it into the buildings, and it becomes a safety issue eventually. But
Yep. It's
we'd
right
like
into
to get
the-
that stormwater into that ditch too.
Yep.
That stormwater, you get a nice vision of that when you drive down Main past the Astra Bank where the water I don't know
Where I don't
where
know
the
what they're
stormwater
doing.
collection area is dumping onto Main Street.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's definitely something that's worth.
Yeah, we had a call today that we might have a water main break in that area. We figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
It was-
worthwhile. We should get that done.
The most irritating thing is when you have gone through the car wash and you're driving down, and the car coming in the other direction, which is really dirty, just right through and just covered.
Yep.
This project's been a long time coming. That's been a mess down there for a long time, so I'm
Yes.
glad we're able to accomplish it. Anything, Commissioner Cunningham? Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pass 4-0.
Thank you.
2025 Street Maintenance Program award a bid for extra work, pavement markings.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. And so about a month ago, on February 27th, staff came to you to request awarded bids for various 2025 street maintenance projects. And after awarding after the award, approximately $220,000 remained in unencumbered budgeted funds for additional projects. Part of it was actually due to really good bids, but also it was that we received no bids for pavement markings at the time. And so we rebid the pavement markings and now received bids for the additional projects, which is what brings us here today. So as a recap of the funds available for 2025, there's a little over $1.1 million that's budgeted for street maintenance projects. And here you can see the location of that work. The pavement markings that we're talking about are the green lines on Hall Street and 13th Street. And then at the time that you guys awarded the street maintenance projects, here's what you can see the bid summary looked like. You can see there's a balance remaining approximately the 220,000, and it's obviously one reason is we received no bids for pavement markings, which we were estimating would be around 110,000. So we did go back to bid. Here's a picture of Hall Street and Vine Street where we requested pavement markings be applied, and we did receive 4 bids this time, which is great. The low bid was from Seahawk Construction of Eudora, Kansas, at the cost of $54,691.40. Seahawk has not performed work in Hayes, but upon checking references, the company came highly recommended by Representative KDOT, who has worked with the company on projects for the past 16 years, primarily in the eastern part of Kansas. They indicated they bid very aggressively because they want to come get a foot in the door out here in western Kansas. And because their budget came in below that estimate of about 110,000 that we were thinking the city or that the pavement markings would be, we reached out to Seahawk to see if they'd be interested in additional work here in Hayes, specifically the pavement markings and the roundabouts on Vine Street. And of course, you know, those get a lot of beating, being Vine Street and the turns and during snow operations with the salt and sand that has to go in there. So we asked of additional work, and it came in at about 46,000. This area is very labor intensive, is going to require lots of traffic control. And so when you add the roundabout markings to their bid, it's about $101,000 of work. Here you can see where it's proposed. And then to kind of summarize the bids, when you add in that $100,000, you have a balance in the special highway fund about $120,000, which we'll keep for unforeseen expenditures that come with some of these projects throughout the rest of the year. So your options are to award the contract as recommended by staff or provide alternate direction to staff. And our action requested is on the screen.
Make a motion to authorize city manager to enter a contract with Seahawk Construction LLC in the amount of $101,420.40 for pavement markings on Hall Street, East 13th Street, and Vine Street roundabouts to be funded out of special highway budgeted projects.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Musil, seconded by Commissioner Cunningham. Questions or comments?
It needs done.
Hall Street really needs done. That's a big deal. I'm really glad we were able to do that. 13th Street is, you know, you can see it, but not very well. So it'll be good all the way around, I think.
I think we should not maybe wait as long on Hall Street next time if possible.
Because I can't see anything there now.
I can't either, and I'm blind.
I just think it's nice that we get the roundabouts added to it, and we still end up, because of the early bid, still have $120,000
Yeah.
under bid, even adding to this project. So
Yeah.
it's a good benefit all the way around.
It is. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, I appreciate staff looking and seeing when we get such a great bid that we could add an additional project that was needed and get it out of the way. So thank you.
I appreciate that as well. I think that's a really important piece. We compliment Jeff every year when he does the manhole things and finds ways to do more than is budgeted. So we have pretty good staff, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
We'll definitely pass on to Public Works for this project.
Very good. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Passes 4-0. We have a progress report. Yes.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer again, Deputy City Manager. And so 45 yards of concrete was used to reconstruct the intersection of Hall Street and Clubhouse Drive to correct some bad pavement and drainage issues.
I may have had more calls thanking for that than I have for anything for a long time.
Well, what was nice is this cost was, it was about $8,000, and it was split between the city, the country club, and the adjacent HOA. So it's nice that we had multiple partners on that. 6 yards of concrete was used to repair the street after a water tap was installed in the 400 block of East 8th Street. Sidewalk and 2 ADA ramps were reconstructed by Service Division employees at the intersection of 28th and Thunderbird. And then a stormwater basin had to be completely reconstructed at 23rd and Main Street. And a new rectangular rapid flashing beacon was installed by the Service Division on 33rd Street between Hillcrest and Canal. ADA ramps had to be constructed on both sides of the street, as well as the pavement markings. And as a reminder, this beacon was in part because of a donation from Golden Plains Credit Union. So much appreciated. New LED lights were installed to replace the old halogen light fixtures that required constant maintenance. The new lights turn on instantly, where it would take the old ones about 10 minutes to warm up and become fully illuminated. warm-up time while you wait. In the aquatic park, 8 sections of concrete that were severely cracked were removed and replaced with new concrete, and sections continue to be replaced as needed. We get ready for the warm weather. Staff topped off fall zone mulch under playgrounds with certified playground mulch. And then staff took some cedar trees in the shelter belts at the Bickel-Schmidt Sports Complex to finish out the rows. Between fall and spring, the Parks Department moved 109 trees from the tree farm to various park and green space areas with the tree spade.
Colin, that certified mulch, is that different mulch than we use other places, or?
Yeah, I mean, we can't use the mulch that, like from the trees that we
So where do you get it from? Is it something we have to order in special?
Yep.
Really?
can't.
What makes it playground mulch to be certified?
I will talk with Parks Director Boyle, but I can tell you, it's finer. It doesn't,
Sure.
it doesn't have the splinters and stuff like that. What we do try and do is we try and get asphalt from old tires, and we try and do that at least once a year because those last longer. So that is something we also do, but it's a lot more costly, but we don't have to replace it as much, obviously. Sand worked just fine when I was little, so.
Yeah. Or dirt.
Or whatever it was, yeah. So after removing several dead trees this winter, staff had the stumps ground out down Frontier Park. They then cleaned up the shavings and put dirt in the holes for grass seed to be planted. The Hayes Police Department assisted athlete Hayden Hickel with lighting the cauldron to kick off the 2025 Special Olympics Kansas basketball tournament. Then Officer Pat Kelly read to the children at the Hayes Public Library on March 27th. Some water plant operators cleaned the bottom of the East Primary Basin, so the water plant switches to this larger primary basin in the spring to accommodate the higher summer water usage. The Water Poster Award ceremony was held on April 1st at the Sternberg Museum. 110 people were in attendance for the award presentation, and 622 posters were submitted this year, which is a new record. And then, like always, we did the leak detectives with the elementary students in Hayes. Of the return slips that came back from that, there were 9 leaks that were discovered. On April 1st, Janet Coon promoted Hayes to meeting planners as part of a new event in Topeka organized by Meet Kansas, which is a coalition that promotes Kansas specifically for meetings. Janet Coon also assisted with registration at the 4th annual Nex-Tech Prairie Chicken Festival, which is hosted by the Audubon of Kansas, and it's a 3-day event, and it brought 144 participants from multiple states and countries, along with 30 volunteers, and they had their opening reception at the Sternberg Museum. The CVB partnered with the Fort Hays State University Tourism and Hospitality Program for the first Jana Jordan Memorial 5K run, and 1 mile walk to raise funds for the Memorial Scholarship for Tourism and Hospitality students. Tourism impact facts were posted along the route, and over 40 prizes were donated by partners. There were 88 participants, and the event raised over $1,500 for the scholarship fund. And then on April 14th, Kirsten Fike and CVB intern Grace Unruh distributed welcome bags at the Fort Hays State's Tiger Day, which welcomed 350 high school sophomores from the surrounding areas. And then they also completed a new commercial to encourage folks to visit Hayes this summer. This ad will run on digital platforms, mobile ads, local cable networks, and streaming platforms.
Here in Hayes, Kansas,
It's always nice when it works.
discover the simple joys of summer. No matter your speed, you'll find excitement around every curve. Raise a glass with old friends or make some new ones. Find your rhythm under an open sky where our celebrations are truly magical. Here in Hayes, the fun is endless and the memories are priceless. Come see why Hayes is the perfect summer getaway. Plan your trip today at visithayes.com.
Very nice.
I like it.
The Kansas Highway Patrol hangar has received its certificate of occupancy. The 13th Street reconstruction continues to progress smoothly. There are a lot of dirt work and stormwater infrastructure on that project. And of course, with all the rain, it might take a few days to dry out before they can get back in there. But 33rd Street reconstruction is moving right along. Currently, small sections of curb and gutter have been replaced on the north side of the street, and replacement of the pavement has begun. And then once the entire north side's done, let's switch over to the south side.
What's our deadline on that? What's the end date?
Oh,
Because they're really moving
oh
fast.
yeah, they
are
plan
really
to have the
moving
north
fast.
side done by middle May. And so open the south side. The completion date, I want to say it's probably fall.
I'll
or-
bet you they're ahead of
Yeah,
schedule.
I'm
They
thinking
are.
they were like 200 calendar days or something like that. You guys awarded bid earlier this spring, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are ahead.
So they have to have the whole north side done before.
They're going to get the whole north side done before they,
So they can switch the traffic flow.
Traffic flow.
Makes sense.
and
Looks
depending on weather,
good.
that'll be mid-May.
Well,
Late May.
they're moving along.
Yeah,
They
that's
are.
great.
The street maintenance program for this year has started. Poly patchwork has, began several weeks ago. Curb and brick on 10th Street has been completed. The county alley is complete, as you can see, and then work will begin very soon on 19th Street pavement replacement. The airport must maintain areas within a certain proximity of the runways graded free of hazardous ruts, depressions, in order to be compliant with the FAA. So airport operations staff had to place 31 loads of dirt alongside the primary runway to maintain compliance as discussed with the airport's FAA inspector in February. And then airport staff recently rewrote a new lease agreement with the Eagle Med. So currently Eagle Med has a gravel employee parking lot that the airport installed for them many years ago. The gravel did cause foreign object debris, or FOD as it's sometimes talked about, daily, creating issues and hazards for aircraft. So the new lease agreement with Eagle Med included provision that airport staff would provide the labor to pave the parking area, and Eagle Med would cover all costs for materials and rented equipment if necessary. The end result is a new lease that brings rates in line with similar operations at comparable airports, and then frees up staff time that had been previously occupied with taking care of all those FOD issues from the gravel parking lot. Any questions?
Good stuff, Colin. Thank you.
It's all happening.
Now we're to Hayes Happenings, and there's a lot going on.
Hello, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon from the Convention and Visitors Bureau with some things coming up in May that I want to be sure are on your calendar or at least you are aware of. May 1st, the Lovegrass Summer Concert Series begins. This group is the one that brings you the Lovegrass Festival out at Wilson Lake each summer. They're going to do a monthly concert series down at the Downtown Pavilion. The first one is the Whiskey Mash Band. The No Water Summit, KNOW, will be at the Hilton Garden Inn May 2nd, and I know our water department is a part of that. 16th Annual Chamber Golf Tournament, May 2nd, out at Smoky Hill Country Club, and there's also patio party, silent auction, all kinds of fun things to go along with that. Our own Hayes Symphony will present the concert Romantic Visions, May 2nd, at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center, and all those concerts are always free. Out at the Bigel Schmidt Sports Complex, we've got 2 tournaments, both fast pitch softball. The first weekend in May should have about 30 teams. The last weekend in May should have about 45 teams. But this weekend, there's a tournament, baseball tournament with 80 teams. So please take note. That one has overflowed the sports complex. They will be at ball fields all over town, including Glassman and TMP. This is a new event, the Kansas Science Festival. Sponsors include STEM Harvest, Treetop Security, Fort Hays State Science Mathematics Education Institute, K-State Research and Extension, and Raise Kansas. And it's just for kids to get comfortable with STEM, STEAM. That'll be May 4th, also under the Downtown Pavilion. Regular IMCA races will be out at RPM Speedway on May 10th and May 24th. Usually that May 10th one, moms get in free. And then commencements and graduations. Fort Hays Tech, North Central, May 15th. And then all the rest are in one weekend. So take note of that weekend. Maybe make a sandwich and eat at home for dinner. Lots of great visitors will be in town, and so thank you for welcoming them. Downtown Hayes Market opening day, May 24th. That's one of my favorite pictures. I'm pretty sure I used it last year too.
He's a great guy.
Be looking for that event to crank up May 24th, and then every Saturday through October. This event originated from a story of a mom with a kid in a wheelchair who had never heard of the Ark Park. So this event will showcase that lovely facility and splash pad. I think Sternberg's going to be out there, Hayes Public Library. Just some community partners just invited to come out and play, bring your own picnic, food trucks, whatnot.
Melissa, is your team coordinating this?
We are.
I think it's outstanding. I think it's really, it's surprising to me how many people don't know about the Art Park. It's interesting. I think it's going to be a killer day. I think you're going to have people all over the place.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. That's the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, but I'm sure there'll be a few people in town. Then the Fox Theater presents 2 concerts in May, the 24th, Cold, and then a comedy night with John Caparulo on the 30th.
Do you? I'm sure you do.
I'll let you listen.
No, I'm good. I'm really good.
Hayes Rec will have their opening day for softball, baseball, and t-ball on May 27th out at the sports complex. And then the aquatic park's opening day is the 31st. Get your early bird pool passes now. Masquerade on Main. This is a fundraiser for High Plains Mental Health. It'll be at the Strand. Tickets are $50, and that includes your heavy hors d'oeuvres and drinks. Thank you.
Very good, Melissa. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. Commissioners, I've asked Toby to comment on a couple things tonight. I think some of you have gotten emails from people talking about fireworks. And it brought to mind the new law in the state of Kansas. So I asked Toby to comment about that first. And then I also asked him to give us an update on the Cedar Bluff release.
Thank you. So with regard to fireworks, the legislature recently changed the rules allowing for year-round fireworks sales. I believe that legislation takes effect when the governor signs it, so it should go into effect any day now. It's not one of the July 31st rules. So what it means for you right now is nothing, because it does cede local control back to sale and use terms. So your ordinances that are in place would provide for that. If we do have any year-round fireworks vendors that want to set up a permanent shop, then we may have to look at a minor ordinance change that would allow that, because everything right now is set up for
I
seasonal.
wondered about that.
And the seasonal regulation still applies, so it's only if we get a brick and mortar vendor want to come in that we'd have to look at that. And then there's things they would have to go through the fire department and planning and development to make sure they're in compliance from a building code standpoint. So with regard to fireworks, your ordinances allow for the sale and use of fireworks July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th between, I think, 10 a.m. and 11 p.m., and that is sale and use concurrently. And that happens automatically unless the commission decides at or before their second regular meeting in May to suspend that. And that was done in order to give the vendors time who have to order fireworks if you are going to suspend that. So right now it's going to happen unless you guys decide either at one of the next 2 meetings in May that you would like to suspend it. So right now we have no intention of bringing anything to you, especially with the recent rain. That'll help keep things a little bit green between now and then, hopefully.
Any questions about it? I've had people ask me that since it's a year-round sale, can they pop fireworks
No.
year-round?
No.
And the answer, of course, is no. But sometimes we have to just make it clear.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Toby.
Yeah, and my apologies for not distinguishing that. And yes, your use regulations would apply year-round on that, so they would be prohibited.
Very good. Okay, and Cedar Bluff.
So a couple weeks ago, the cities of Hayes and Russell made request of water, releases of water from Cedar Bluff to top off the well fields. Russell from water rights they own in Cedar Bluff, the city of Hayes from water rights that are owned by the state of Kansas. That's part of the joint use pool, but it's for artificial recharge of the Smoky Hill Aquifer. And so we had a coordination call with the Kansas Water Office, and we had targeted a date of May 5th to begin the release. And we've been working with Burns McDonnell, our engineer, the Water Office, Jeff Crispin's staff, Russell, their staff, USGS that has some monitoring wells along there, on getting everything ready to track and monitor this release. We had noticed the water out there, the rain potential out there when we had the original call. And, rain potential doesn't always mean rain in western Kansas. And so we decided we're going to set up another call on Monday to determine what, if any, benefit we've had in either well fields And by Monday, we'll know the benefit, the perceived benefit. And so if there was enough of a benefit, what the plan would be is to put the release on pause, but then be ready to enact the release when the conditions do warrant the release at the time. So it wouldn't be a total cessation of the request.
Okay.
It would just be putting the release on pause.
So
But-
it's quick. If you put it on pause, you can say, okay, we want it off pause.
Right, we
That
can, we
fast.
can easily target a new date. And one of the reasons we ask for it this time of year is because, A, we have capacity in the well field to absorb a release. Russell's well field is very depleted. Ours is depleted. I wouldn't say it's very depleted. It's depleted enough it could use a topping off from a release. But more importantly is we had conductivity between our well field and the dam, meaning water release would reach our well field in a pretty efficient manner and not be soaked up in the upstream alluvial before it gets there. So the two well fields are different. The two aquifers are different in Russell and Hayes. Ours was in a little better shape than Russell's. We're not sure after this rainfall how ours is going to look versus how Russell's going to look. And so we could come out of here with our well field not getting much benefit, theirs getting some or vice versa. So again, the weekend's going to tell us a lot. Jeff is going to be monitoring everything over the weekend, as is Russell. And Monday will tell us a lot. So next week, I'll give you an update on where we're
I
at.
think
on
we're
that.
still, from the weather is showing, we're still going to get more this week, tonight, tomorrow, maybe tomorrow night. Commissioner Cunningham, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to ask, is it possible in this discussion where Russell's release could or could not happen and ours could or could not? Like, they don't have to happen simultaneously. One could happen and one could not?
Yes, because they're separate pools of water. Russell has always been a little hesitant in the past to ask for a release of their water. Russell owns 2,500 acre-feet of water rights in Cedar Bluff. And they've been fairly reluctant in the past to ask for releases of water unilaterally because usually the alluvial is dry and our well field is dry, and so most of their release would be soaked up before it got to them. So in the past, we've done joint releases. We've asked for a release that saturates everything to our well field. Their water can go through and benefit them. But there could be a scenario where maybe they don't get as much benefit from the rain as we do. We get a little bit more. We may have to ask for a smaller amount to be released just to keep our well field saturated to let their water go through. But that's probably going to be a call we make on Monday just to determine where everybody's at. And it's one of the things we have Burns and Mac on board is, to help identify volumes and amounts and, what could be released in order to provide everybody the most benefit.
Thank you. I'm glad all those factors are being looked at and
So-
being conservative.
How do you determine, we had 3 inches of rain or whatever, that's enough to pause it for a while? How do you determine that?
Two things. One will be the response. One is stream flow. So stream flow will tell you what water is going down the stream. The USGS has 5 monitoring wells just within our well field. And then we have, how many wells, Crispin, off the top of your head? 12 wells. So the wells that aren't being actively pumped, we can look at static water levels, and that'll tell you what kind of response the monitoring wells and the city wells are receiving based off of the stream flow. And the Smoky Hill Aquifer, it's a pretty narrow aquifer. It's also very gravelly and sandy, so it soaks up that water pretty quickly. So that's why I'm saying between now and Monday, we'll have a really good idea of where that benefit is heading. And then it was completely dry past our well field. There hadn't been any water leaving our well field for a long time. So it's going to take a lot to saturate that aquifer to get Russell benefit, and then they're going to have to make that same determination.
Well, it sounds like there were some pretty heavy rains to the west of us, so hopefully that will help out. So
There were,
Yeah.
yeah,
2.5 inches in Ellis or something like that.
the only caveat is things were very dry going
I know,
into
I
it,
know.
so there'll be a lot of soaking in
Yeah.
before you even get any runoff.
Right.
But we would love nothing more than to be able to pause this and say, hey, we're good right now, let's keep it on pause, and then make sure we monitor conditions moving forward if we need to ask again.
I hope we can.
I think this is a good time also to address something that we're hearing in the community a lot. People have read and have heard about the killing of the brick grant program and are saying, oh no, is our project off? Is everything done? We don't have to do anything now. And I think it's important that they understand when we started this project, it was affordable within our funding constraints with available money in the bank, meaning we could deliver the project with no rate increase. we had the opportunity to apply for a brick grant. Why would we look past that opportunity? Especially with the increases in cost. I think everybody kind of probably has some thoughts and comments about this, but the resulting loss of up to $15.8 million in state monies happened because of the brick grant being killed, and that was because the whole program was canceled on the federal level.
Yeah, and so adding to that, obviously the money coming from the federal level and the state level help us fund that project, help us keep the costs down. This was also at the forefront of our minds when we were in Washington recently for the congressional conference, and it was discussed. I felt like we were heard with our concerns. While it didn't mean that federal money became available to us, we're not stopping the search for it, and hoping to continue to hold on to that state money too. So,
I think that's a good point.
yeah.
Anybody else have comments?
Well, we applied for that brick grant. There was millions of dollars out there. And it's our duty as commissioners, staff, to get the most money out there possible for our residents to reduce the cost, hopefully. My frustration thing is when we got that email saying they canceled it, it said it was wasteful spending. And this is a regional project we've said for years. I don't see how that's wasteful money. I know there's wasteful spending out there, but how can that be wasteful spending on what we're doing? I mean, we're not doing it just for Hayes, we're doing it for our region. And but I am very, like you said, I was very impressed with our senators and representatives said they're going to do everything they can to help us out, and I'm one that actually I have faith that they're going to do what they can. So I hope that happens.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that especially Senator Moran has been helpful and was he was pretty angry at the fact that the BRIC program went away because he'd worked hard on that program for us. And it's also, because there's no budget this year, we lost $11 million of directed spending. And so all of these things go into making us be able to pay off this project sooner, which means there would be no rate increases. And the last thing we want to do is have rate increases for our citizens, but the project still has to go on, and it will go on. So just because it's tighter doesn't mean we're going to stop the project.
Right.
It's still going to go forward, and we're just going to have to keep looking for, with the help of our legislators, to get some money that can help us get state money so that it will go on and be able to do feasibly without rate increases.
And I just don't think, I don't think we can look past any opportunity for any kind of funding for this. That, people talk to us about what happens in Dodge City and Garden City and what gets to happen down there. Well, they have a half-cent sales tax for all the stuff they're doing down there. We have a half-cent sales tax for water. If we didn't have to go through that and finish filling that bucket to be able to pay for the project, we'd have a half-cent sales tax to do things here. It's time for it all to stop and us to move forward and get this going and quit spending any additional money, particularly since we're losing the opportunity at some money.
Well said.
Any comments?
No, the only thing I would add is when FEMA killed the program, they said it was wasteful, politicized, and inefficient.
Oh, yeah.
We're adjourned.